Science is all around us. It shapes how we live, how we think, and even how we function as a society. Growing up, we learn about the many disciplines of science. But did you ever think that how we learn about science in the classroom is also a science? Well, this is the story of how education research has impacted me. By me, Cooper Breed. I grew up in a house with my mom, my dad, and my older sister. We lived in an urban city in central New York. I went to a small elementary school just a few blocks from my house. Every morning we met as an entire school to talk about daily announcements, and almost every month there was an event to attend, whether it was a potluck or musical performance. I was fortunate to attend this school because science shows that smaller schools are able to build stronger communities and cause teachers to become more devoted to their students' learning. And science also shows that having a smaller school size is even more beneficial for learning in areas such as inner cities, where there are more disadvantaged students. But when I was in 4th grade, the school closed. We combined with another elementary school into the local middle school. It was a really big, dark, and scary building. And at this point, school wasn't very fun. There were a few of us that were considered to be more advanced than our other schoolmates, so my teacher gave us worksheets and projects the rest of the class never saw, and they seemed to lack purpose. Looking back, I now know that this is an ineffective method of challenging higher-level students, thanks to science. It shows them that only more work is expected, so they learn to move at the pace of their peers to avoid busy work. Then I moved schools. I attended the Expeditionary Learning Middle School. This school is based on the framework of expeditionary learning, which stems from a larger education program called Outward Bound. Developed by Kurt Hahn, Outward Bound approaches learning by placing an emphasis on building character and human connections, as well as a sense of service. My school's program involved student-run expeditions, conducting our own fieldwork and engaging with the local community. Because science shows that project-based learning increases attendance, self-reliance, and builds community. For the first time, I attended a school that was a direct product of educational research. Over the 3 years that I spent there, I worked with my classmates to understand various perspectives on topics such as turn of the century, slavery, war, and climate change. Through my time at this project-based learning school, I was able to find a leader within myself. I began to love learning again. I became very passionate about science during my time here, thanks to the expeditions and discovery. Because science shows that project-based learning increases the capacity of critical thinking, the use of applying previous knowledge to new situations, and even self-reflection. The experience I had in middle school prepared me for high school. I was able to assume leadership roles such as becoming a key club officer and eventually president, as well as leading the ensemble for the school's musicals. I found myself feeling very fortunate in my education path as the graduation rate for my high school hovered around 50% during my time there. The odds were stacked against myself and my fellow inner-city peers, as science shows urban students are twice as likely to not finish high school in comparison to their suburban counterparts. So the mission of my high school was to get students' diploma, not so much to build character and community. At that point, I assumed non-traditional learning styles were part of my past. But fast forward to my freshman year in college, I took an inquiry-based biology class, which is another form of project-based learning. This course, by design, developed our scientific skills and engaged us in scientific discovery, because science shows that learning through investigation empowers students and breaks the habit of accepting only one right answer. Further, inquiry-based classrooms encourage students to become self-directed and more independent. I give credit for my interest in educational research to this course, as it reintroduced non-traditional styles of learning and teaching into my life. But this inquiry-based class was one of a kind, so to speak. Most of my classes were the traditional lecture style where learning is considered to be passive, as opposed to mentally engaging. I felt that these classes were simply okay and not very interesting. But I probably felt this way because science shows that classes that are set up as traditional lecture style leave little room for self-reflection and discussion concerning student error. It is clear to me now that the educational experiences of my life were made possible by scientists. No, not those scientists, these scientists. Throughout history, people have studied the impact of teaching on students and learned from it in order to improve teaching methods. But how do we even come to the point of being able to say the phrase, because science shows? Well, that's where scientists come in. The National Science Foundation supports the participation of undergraduate students to NSF-funded research projects through various grants. The NSF-funded research project that we are participating in investigates discipline-based educational research. So myself, along with all the other research students, are here in Fargo this summer to further DBER in various ways. Without careful analysis and investigation of education, we cannot support the blanket statements that begin with, because science shows. Education research is science, and it is science that impacts everyone in our society. Education is a right, so let's do it right.